What up, sports fans everywhere? Listen, man, this is a quick little hot take. Something that just was on my mind. I'm winging it. Normally, I have stuff prepared. I got a few things I'm looking at, but I just wanted to throw this out there really quick. So, Bill Russell is by far the most overrated player in the history of the NBA. Easily. Most overrated player in the history of the NBA. Maybe the most overrated athlete in the history of sports. Just my opinion. Everybody look at Bill Russell, consider him the consummate pro, the ultimate champion, a winner, and all this stuff, like, because he got 11 chips, right? Nobody ever looks at his teammates and talk about how great those guys were. Nobody ever says that. Let me see, I'm looking at some stuff I got pulled up. Sam Jones won 10 chips. Tommy Heinsohn won 8. Casey Jones won 8. Tom Sanders won 8. Havlicek won 8. Frank Ramsey won 7. Cousy won 6. Like, pretty much, like, if you go back and look at the late 50s and then the entire 60s with the Celtics, basically what happened is Bill Russell bridged the gap, right? You had the Bob Cousy, Bill Sherman era, right? And then as those guys were aging, Sherman was out the door, Cousy still hung around a little longer. Then Tommy Heinsohn came in. And then this guy was balling. And then Cousy was out the door. And then Casey Jones came along. And then as Heinsohn was getting older, Havlicek came in, right? So if you ever just look at the numbers for the Celtics, like Bill Russell, like there are years, he won 11 chips. He never led the team in scoring, ever. And I'm not saying that scoring is the only way you can be effective. I'm simply saying that he never led his team in scoring. In 11 championship seasons, I think at best he was the third leading scorer. I think there was one season he was the second leading scorer. Out of 11 chips, one season he was the second leading scorer. The rest of them he was third, and there were seasons where he was fourth. The fourth option on offense, and we're calling him like one of the GOATs. He's top 10 all time because he got 11 chips. Sam Jones got 10 of them. And if you look this year, Sam Jones was putting up 24, 25, 26 points a game. But Bill Russell was the quote-unquote defensive anchor and the linchpin in that system, right? So I was looking up something. I said, let me compare Bill Russell to some other all-time great bigs, right? Like, I don't know if people know that Bill Russell averaged 15 points a game for his career. 15! We talking about a guy who never, in his entire career, never averaged 20 points a game. We also talking about a guy. He's a center. A center. And he shoots 44% for his career. I want you to let that marinate for a second. He shoots 44%. Now, when we talking about all-time greats, it's not about Kobe. I'm using Kobe as an example because we all can admit that Kobe's not the most efficient player in the world. We all understand this. Kobe Bryant has a higher career field goal percentage than Bill Russell, a guy who spent his entire career in the paint. Kobe Bryant has a higher field goal percentage. Let that sit with you for a second, right? So I'm looking. For his career, Bill Russell shot 44% from the field. 44%. Let's compare him to some other great big men. Hakeem Olajuwon. And Hakeem was a perimeter-oriented big man. Like, he took his game outside the paint. 51% from the field. Patrick Ewing, another perimeter-oriented, mid-range specialist kind of big man. 50% for his career from the field. Who else we looking at here? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 56% for his career from the field. Moses Malone, 49% for his career from the field. Shaq, 58% for his career from the field. Bill Russell, 44%. 44%. Like, this dude was offensively inept is what he was. This dude, he was the Ben Wallace of his time. Ben Wallace was a great player. Ben Wallace was very important. He was very integral to the Pistons' success during the mid-2000s, right? Nobody was ever going to look at Ben Wallace and say he's the best big in the game. Nobody was even going to look at him and say he was necessarily the MVP of the Pistons. Very important to what they do. You can even look and say he's really important. They wouldn't have that kind of success. We say the same thing about Draymond Green, but nobody's going to call Draymond Green one of the greatest players in the NBA right now. When his career is over, nobody's going to look back and say Draymond Green was one of the top 5, top 10 players of this era. It's just not going to happen. Another stat that people like to turn to, it kind of embodies everything you do on a basketball court, right? PER, player efficiency rating. How good were you in every facet of the game, right? I said, let me look up the great Bill Russell. Let's look him up. I'm going to give y'all a few first for their careers. And as we know, a lot of these guys play late into their career. Your numbers suffer, they go down. Early in their career, they have very high numbers. Late, they have low numbers. And it kind of, balances out, right? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for his career. PER of 24.6. Patrick Ewing, 21. Moses Malone, 22. Shaquille O'Neal, 26.4. Hakeem Olajuwon, 23.6. Bill Russell for his career, PER of 18.9. 18.9 for his career. Do y'all know in his last season, in his last championship season, Bill Russell averaged 9.9 points a game? You even know that? They always talk about he got 11 rings. Y'all know in his last chip, he averaged 9 points a game. 9. The one before that, 12 points a game is what he was giving his team. But he the man. The Finals MVP trophy is named after him, so he's the man, right? Playoffs. Actually, in his career, Bill Russell averaged 15 points a game is what he averaged for his career. In the playoffs, Bill Russell gave you a whopping 16 points a game in his career. 16 points a game. 11 chips. Gave you 16 points a game. But he's the GOAT, right? I'm going to need y'all to come up off that. Man, listen. Bill Russell, for all intents and purposes, he was great at what he did. I'm assuming he was like a great defensive anchor. He held down the paint, whatever. The man's not, he's not even in the same breath as a Wilt Chamberlain, so to speak. You go back and look at the numbers. Wilt had a season where he shot 72%. In fact, it was his last season. He shot 72%. 58 for his career. And this is a guy who out there putting up buckets. This is a guy giving you 30, 40, and 50 a game. That's not an exaggeration. He had a whole season where he averaged 50 and 25. And for all of that, his career rebounding numbers are still better than Bill Russell. Bill Russell did nothing better than Wilt Chamberlain. But win. He had the luxury of playing with Bob Cousy, Bill Sherman, Tommy Heinsohn, Frank Ramsey, John Havlicek, Sam Jones. He played with all of those guys who are Hall of Famers who have 7, 8, 9, 10 chips. That's what Bill Russell played with. Calling Bill Russell one of the greatest of all time is the equivalent of us calling Draymond Green a top 5 player in the NBA right now. Stop it. Bill Russell is the most overrated player in the history of the NBA.